Hey guys, this is your host Katie, and welcome back to Hear Our Voices, where we tell stories, give resources, and change the narrative of homelessness. So, this week is part two of Sisters in Purple and learning more about the organization and also learning about her story. She is a survivor of domestic violence. So, this is, as you know, this is October. This is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and honestly, it's just not a month. It's all year round because the violence does not stop because we stopped celebrating it, or not celebrating it, but talking about it. It's still happening behind closed doors, and until it spills out into the street, into the community. So, just be knowledgeable. Just make sure that you are doing your part to see something and say something. I'm not telling you to go in the middle of it. I'm just telling you report it if you do see it, and it's supposed to be anonymous and things like that. So just be aware of that. But honestly, if you're the only person there who heard it, they gotta know it's you. If it's somebody in your community, I'm not gonna lie to you. So just be safe in those things. And anybody who's hearing this, I just want you to know that you are loved and you matter, and that nobody deserves to be treated nasty. And all the information will be down below of what you can learn and get from Sisters in Purple. I'm going to be giving their link down below, and they have their Instagram if you want to go to them and talk about anything, or you could DM me anytime, and I'm willing to talk. I do not have a license in therapy, but I could definitely be a listening ears and give you resources for housing, pampers, different things like that. Everything will be down below. Thank you for listening to us, and thank you for checking out part two. Please share, follow us on social media. We have an Instagram, we have a YouTube, we have a TikTok channel. We are pretty active on these things, and I'm usually up all the time, so I could answer almost any of your questions. Thank you so much, and stay amazing. Bye.
And you know what? I agree too. I just feel like, so for the parents that aren't doing what they doing, it's just like, well, maybe they need a little more something. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
maybe they need more resources. Maybe they need some more support. And I think that's my only thing with ACS is just like we don't have to remove a kid automatically. We need to step in and assess the situation as a whole.
Right.
Um, you're removing that child from their parent. It's just like, okay, like how does that child feel about being removed from their parent? And I only speak to that because I was a child that was in foster care before and was removed from her mom.
Mm.
And though my mom had things that she was dealing with, I just felt like we didn't have to be removed. And though we were removed with our family, there was still trauma of us being removed from our mother. I remember, I think the case or whatever the case was about to be over, and I was with my grandmother. I still wanted to be with my mom. I don't care what it was. It was just like I want my mother. Like I remember even running away from my grandmother and going with my mother. I don't care. I didn't care what she was going through, what happened, if she had a case, or how ACS looked at her, because at that time they looked at her as a bad parent, not realizing like she has her own trauma, she's trying to work through it, whatever the case may be. I
Right.
just say that to say that we still want our mothers, like, regardless of what, I don't know. I think even when I spoke to my mom, she's just like the resources that ACS gave to her weren't pertaining to her situation, so
Right.
she felt like they didn't help, so she helped herself and eventually got us back. But it was just like, I don't know, they need a lot.
I'm such the opposite. When I was a kid, I wished to be in foster care. I sound so crazy saying that, but I was like, and my mother wasn't, compared to other parents, my mother wasn't that bad. I wish she was more, but I don't know. We just did not agree. We were like, and I wasn't a bad, compared to other kids, I was not a bad kid. I was really good. I had a bunch of health problems with my eyes. So honestly, chill. Mother's very Jamaican. So that could also
Right.
be the problem. I feel like people in my family also thought she was very strict. And I came to find that out. So it wasn't just me going crazy. It's just like as a kid, I wasn't too fond of her as a kid. I mean like 4 or 5 years old. I was told I had a
Oh
case
my
at one
goodness.
point. Like most times the kids like that age, they love their parents. But I was not
Yeah.
about that life with that lady. I was told I had an ACS case. I probably should go look it up and see if I really had one. Because God, people tell you anything is not even true. But but yeah. But I don't know the
If
results.
you had an ACS case,
There.
nobody came to your house, nobody knocked on your door, girl.
I think no, the cops came to my house one time. The cops did come to my
Oh.
house. I got some stuff at school. Yeah, it was a whole thing, guys. So this is a side note, a side story. All right, guys, you gotta learn a little bit about me today, and nothing to do with domestic violence. But My neighbor, I'm pretty sure I know which one, but she still lived there too in the house. But my neighbor called, it was anonymous, obviously, and said that
Anonymous calling.
yeah, every night I cried, and I always have to have a bottle. My Milo, I'll have Milo Horlicks, very Jamaican. Y'all know what this is. If y'all, you're Jamaicans, y'all know. And the old, because you know I'm in the 80s. So you know the old time, the good stuff. The ones now is kind of, you know? And it's true that I was locked in the garage. This is not true. It's just me loving crying every night without my Milo. I was not going to sleep. So, and they'll keep me upstairs and I didn't be by myself. I was scared. So, and I want to be in the mix because I'm nosy as hell. So that's also why not the point. The cops came to the door. I remember it was two men and they said, oh, somebody said your child's locked in a garage. And she said, no, what are you talking about? And they called me and I came to the door and like, oh, she's fine. I had literally a bottle in my hand, chilling. Obviously I was healthy because I wasn't beating or nothing. I was just chilling, just
Right,
crying. The kid cries. That's what they do. Kids cry
right.
all the time. But I also lived in Queens. So in the houses, so people are in my neighborhood. If it's too much sound, they call them.
They
So
calling.
yeah, they don't play, which is I think it's good because some kids do get under the radar and like a lot of things are happening to them and nobody calls. People just look and like, oh, she's crying all the time, but over there her arm is broken and hanging off by the thread. Nobody calls to see what's
Mm-hmm.
happening. So I'm happy, I appreciate for that, but I digress, guys. So you learned some stuff about me today, but let's get back into domestic violence. Um, so when did you in your mind think that this was not right for you? Like when is the first time you thought like maybe I shouldn't be with this man? Or at the time he was a child because he's under 18. So when I should not be with this child.
But we were together for 17 years. So I had kids with him and everything.
That's a full
Yeah.
grown person.
Yeah.
That's a person, 17 years?
Yeah.
Oh,
I left him at the age of 30. I think it was around in my 20s. I started feeling like, okay, like this is not it's not normal. One. None of my family liked him. It was just like, oh, it's a lot. But they had a reason to not like him, right? But understanding that too, like, it impacts your family as well, but also understanding like they saw the red flags before I even saw it.
right,
And I ignored them. Mad red flags.
right.
Um, I wanna say about I wanna say the day I left was probably like and I was 30 years old.
Mm.
Um and this is one of many times he had his I guess his hands around my neck or whatever the case may be. But I think this time like I seen like my eyes flash before me and it was just like, yeah, you're not like I knew like it just felt like he was gonna hurt me more than what he usually had done. And it was just like you already hurt me enough. You violated me enough. So it felt like he was gonna and I remember I think my daughter had to been like maybe like she wasn't too far, like she was like right there crying or whatever the case may be, and her brother was holding her. I was tired of that too, right? Tired of allowing them to see that. Or there was a few times where I was walking my daughter to school and an incident just happened like that morning or that night up until like she went to school. Because he can have wars until like if we could be warring until like 10 o'clock at night until like 3, 4, and 5 in the morning. Um, over nothing, right? Over dumb stuff, like just dumb stuff. Um, so I think realizing too, like the kids were seeing too much. It wasn't about me anymore. It was just like, okay, like I was staying because I wanted a father figure for my kids. I wanted them to have a father that I had, but obviously that wasn't gonna happen. So my last time was just like the kids seeing it, and once again his hands around my neck. It was just like, all right, like, and I think like prior to that, it was just an ongoing, I think, that whole month because I think he broke my phone. It was just a lot of things that would happen up until I left
Right.
at the age of 30 where it was just like, I can't take it no more. Like it's either he's gonna kill me or vice versa. I was losing myself. I lost weight. I lost a lot of weight. I was looking crazy out here and not realizing, right? Until like people were telling me, like after he left, and they were just like, yeah, we would see you just like we would see you always with the kids, but you would just be in a whole nother world. And it's just like, yeah, I was in a whole nother world. I was still in the world where he was warring upstairs in the house. That's when I knew it was time to leave. When I knew that the kids was just seeing it too much, they already seen enough. Um, and I don't know, that last time I just felt like he was gonna really hurt me, like kill me.
So if you had to tell your younger self a message, like I want to say 12 years and not even 13, 12 years old, what would you tell her?
I love you. And I think because nobody told me at 12 and 13 to love myself. Um, I think also I love you, but for me, it's just like it's more bigger than I love you because it's like I didn't even know like what it was to love myself until I came out. And even at 12 and 13, you would think like because I thought I was cute. Or, no, I wasn't really loving her. I didn't love her.
Got you, got you. So I want to make sure people know the services like you all give. Is it only domestic violence services, or do you give like some people like to wrap around other things because they kind of intertwine like trafficking and things like that. How does that do you have those services or only DV services by itself?
So we do focus on human trafficking. We focus on gun violence and how it intersects with domestic violence. We have had the honor of partnering with other gun violence organizations. So now we have that connection, right? So yeah, if we get survivors that are dealing with gun violence, or we have someone that's dealing with gun violence, we will connect them with our sister partners or organizations that we partner with. We also focus around trauma. It could be generational trauma, trauma period. But our main focus is domestic violence, but we also do community violence, things of that nature as well. We focus around our workshops are not only always and only catered to domestic violence, but like I said, gun violence, different trauma, human trafficking. Our other co-founder, Erica Lucille, that's her focus. She focuses around human trafficking, education around human trafficking, things of that nature. Um, Honestly, if you hit us up about anything, like it's crazy because we all have different experiences. It's not only domestic violence.
Right.
We're always willing to help. Yeah.
I want to go back to PTSD. And
ACS.
huh?
ACS.
So PTSD, a little.
Oh, I thought you said BCS. Oh, okay, okay.
And how do you think people get over that? Like, obviously, nothing to get over it because stuff happened to me as a kid, and I'm like, I still think about it. I have flashbacks. How can people, I should say, cope with it better? How can you give them some strategies to help them get out of that funk, even though it's gonna probably be with you until honestly you die? It's a fact when something traumatic happens to you, you tend to go back to it. When you're further away from it, it's not as much,
Mm-hmm.
less, but it's still always gonna be there.
Yeah.
So can you give people tips actually about how to handle those things?
Yes, of course. So it's crazy because when I got out of mines, I had to be intentional about PTSD, but also how it was showing up for myself. I remember being on the PATH train and I was having a panic attack. Mind you, I had these same panic attacks before. When I was in the situation, I just didn't know a name. I didn't even know what it came from or that I had it because of the DV that I was going through, right? So I've had these things, and it was crazy because I think I went home. I went to my mom, and I was like, "Mom, I think I just had a panic attack." And she was like, "Yeah, you did." Like I had to get off the train. I had to tell my daughter we have to get off the train because I could not breathe. It was hot. It was a lot going on. So I had to get off the train, and from that day on, I started learning more about my triggers, what triggers me, knowing like if someone is loud or like things like that, that's a trigger for me, or knowing like okay, if someone is loud I might start reacting off of the loudness too. So one of the things, not only that, I also learned about my kids PTSD as well. um I think with my daughter I noticed it. One day she thought she saw her father, I think standing in front of her school. And I literally was outside waiting for her, and I was like somebody, yeah, that's how I knew that okay, like this is PTSD, because the person that she saw wasn't her dad.
Right.
Not only that, my PTSD kicked in because I didn't want to go back into the apartment for a minute.
Right.
So how I cope with that was I started writing. I do journals. I will read. Um, I love my music. Like that's one thing, like if I start feeling like I don't know, because I get anxiety. I get anxiety. And it's crazy because now I'm learning like I get anxiety. Like my PTSD will pop up in my body if something's going on with my kids. My daughter, like she had like a whole fight last year. And I'm telling you, like my anxiety was going through my body. And when she got home, I said, my body was telling me, that something was going on or something was off. I'm also learning how to just listen, I guess, to my anxiety and things of that nature. I don't know if that makes sense, but taking walks. I take walks. I leave my phone in the house. I will, yeah, I do that for like an hour. Long baths, like long hot baths are like the bomb. Um, Lavender as well. Lavender, if you can get some like good lavender oil, I keep some in a bottle that I usually carry around with me. If I feel like I'm going to get anxiety or things of that nature, and I'll sniff it a little because that sometimes help me. Um, I also start counting to 10 because sometimes my PTSD might come up, for all types of things. So I might count to 10 and be like, all right, and just breathe, one, two, three, and then let it out. I do a lot of going outside and leaving my phone in the house because I realize sometimes the work that we do as well can be overwhelming and bring up your PTSD. So I will leave my phone in the house a lot. I leave that like I can go to the supermarket and I'll leave it in the house. But one of the main things for me is I got back into is just reading. Reading all type of different books. Um, yeah. I think my coping strategies might be a little different than everybody. And I have to smoke. Like I gotta smoke weed.
It's legal in New York, so I can.
Yeah, so
But yeah,
and at that time when I got diagnosed with PTSD, they gave me medicine and I took it. And hearing who I was on that medicine, people were just like, "Oh, you were with this," and I was like, "Really?" And I didn't like the way it made me feel, so I was just like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna stick to that." It helped. Yeah.
yeah, I understand. I definitely understand. So if people wanted to get like be a part of Sisters in Purple and or like donate or stuff like that, what would they have to do to be a part of that journey and help out?
We're always looking for members. We're all survivor led. The three co-founders, Angelina Rosado and Erica and myself. You can always reach out to myself or Angelina Rosado or Erica. But Sisters in Purple have a Gmail, so you can reach out to the Gmail. You can also email us at sistersinpurple@gmail.com. Um, you could either become a member, become part of the events, you want to collaborate, partner. We're always down for that. We're always down for volunteers. We're doing a Thanksgiving drive in
Ooh,
November, on 125th in Harlem. So we'd love for some volunteers to come out. This month, we stormed the steps. I don't know if we're going to be doing another event this month. I think we're so more so of like
sorry.
getting asked to speak, but also supporting other people at other events, things of that nature. But yeah, if you want to become a member, you could hit us up at Sisters in Purple, on IG, Facebook, like I said, or at our Gmail. As far as donations, I believe we have a Sisters in Purple Cash App. You can donate there because we do a lot of this work with our money in our pockets. We're
Mm,
trying to get some funding. We're waiting for our status and things like that. So a lot of things that we do is strictly out of our pockets. Us coming together and just like, listen, okay, we want to do this. This is what we're gonna do. Um, so donations are always great because like I said, I have a survivor that I'm working with now. And she needs things. Like she needs like essential things. So those donations will go a long way on, just helping survivors getting the things that they need.
Got it. Got it. So, guys, definitely check it out. We have a resource packet down below. Also, will be linked. I don't do the linking. I have my group that helps me make sure the podcast come out great for you guys and the edit. Well, I do the editing now, but yes.
Okay.
I don't do that great of editing. I just do very, very small manipulations. I like everything to be authentic and just be, how it was said and not. I'm not one of those places out there where just like you put a bunch of sentences together, but like hopefully it comes together or just make a person sound like they didn't really say that. I want it to be exactly how the person said it.
Got
So you
it.
hear the authenticity. I can't even say the word authenticity. That I feel like a little accent got in there. Came out the way it is. Y'all gonna hear all of this. I don't mind sound a little bit crazy because that's what it is. Nobody speaks perfect. Nobody has it together all the time. And we should all strive to be better people every single day. Um, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. The person who's listening to this, or people listening to this, you're not perfect. But if we need to take accountability for ourselves and making sure that we're not hurting anybody else and leading people astray from other things, and making sure the words that we use is positive words, not negative words, not to bring anybody down, but to build people up. The more we build up, the less problems we'll have. That's
Right.
how I see about it. If you put negative out there, negative will come to you. People will like, example, I used to work in retail and people's like, oh my gosh, these customers. I'm like, I never had a bad customer. Like, what? I'm like, that doesn't come to me. Like, I used to work at a front desk and people will come with attitudes and talk to other people around me. When they come to me, I'm like, I give them really nonchalant, chill attitude, and they come to me.
And it comes back,
Exactly. They come, I'm like, oh,
right?
calm down. And you have to just be the best you and put the best out there and take care of others like others. If you see something, say something. I'm not saying if you see somebody getting beat up, involve yourself. I'm not getting involved. I'm not gonna
Just call 911.
lie. Right.
Hopefully they do something. Hopefully they do
Exactly.
something.
They're supposed to have stuff at if they especially if it's domestic violence, they're supposed to have people at the precinct who actually are DV cops, and they supposed to have an advocate in these places. Granted, funding. I'm giving if y'all not watching this, you just see me. I'm doing a lot of quotes when I'm saying this because funding is going down allegedly. So that's what they say. They have these people in these certain offices, but I think sometimes when they calls come in, they just kind of send out a cop without actually seeing what the problem actually is. So sometimes the people who are not trained for this position.
I think, and it is that. It's a whole lot of that. They aren't trained, and not only that, and the trainers that they're doing are old. They're old, and they need to be revamped, and they need to have some type of empathy. I don't know, but these trainings need to be rebuilt. We need to do some new training.
I think also the problem is that they give training to certain officers. Another thing, I'm quoting guys, so if you don't hear me, is I'm quoting, but I think all cops should get it. Granted, a lot of people who are police officers and soldiers are very high in the DV world, so it's another problem right there because they tend to push towards themselves towards those positions of work. But I think everybody should get training. Maybe if they get training, they probably realize what they are
Mm-hmm.
and they can get help for themselves. And that could be a way for them to, mend their relationship with their wives, or if there's a woman is their husband, kind of thing. So just be aware of that. But we're advocating for a lot of different things. A lot of things need to change. For things to get better, things have to change. They can't stay how they are because it's honestly not working the way it's supposed to be. There's a lot of things we're advocating right now for housing, for to make sure that people who are DV survivors can actually get their way into vouchers. A lot of vouchers was in certain like DHS shelters. Sometimes if they're in like another shelter system, HRA, whatever, they cannot get those things.
Mm-hmm.
Matter to me, it should not matter if they are in certain, whoever is funding them. That doesn't matter to me. If they're technically homeless and that's a homeless voucher, they should be getting that. And
Right.
got to make sure that we are. This was a plan, guys. I'm just telling you things. Family Homeless Coalition and New Destiny is fighting for to make sure that everybody in this position can get it. We are also with I know Safe Horizon. If you remember, I think last year or 2 years ago, I interviewed with Jimmy, and he works with Safe Horizon, and they're also looking in that a lot of people who are single are coming into the system, but they have no place to go because a lot of stuff is for families, and they have a lot of family spaces, but they're not as much.
Not for single survivors, single
Right.
people. Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure we advocate for everybody because everybody needs a home. Everybody needs a place to move out to after getting a shelter because the shelter's not the place to be. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's cute to have it, but honestly, we don't want to live there. We can,
Mm-mm.
it's a stop. We want to go to our actual housing, but especially in New York City, you can't afford housing proper. Whether you're people think like, oh my gosh, families have all these things. If one person in your family is undocumented, you got less money in your thing. If you live in New York City and you have to pay for food, clothes, your child's growing, trust me, it's not cheap when they grow. It's not cheap when they eat and waste half of your food, but you still gotta cook because you get an ACS case. I'm just saying things add up, and it's like
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're not on just one person's side or one group side. We're on the whole community side because if all of us thrive, we all thrive. And so do you have any last words for the people who's listening?
No, I think this was great. Um, I think I wanted to just touch more on like the single survivors because it's true, like it's not just about the families. I mean, the survivors with kids, things of that nature. It's about the whole, us in the whole.
Right.
But I also wanted to reiterate that that Citizen Purple is here for, anybody that needs any type of support. Um, yeah, thank you for doing that.
Thank you for coming, guys. And I see you guys, or you can listen to me next time. Come out. Oh, yeah, I forgot one thing. We're changing our schedule. We're doing every week. In October, we'll do every week until November, which is my birthday. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Right, we're getting old at this point, but we're gonna be doing every other week, and we're gonna be having, we usually go. I mean, literally every week was a podcast, right? So we're gonna be having the hot topics when hot topics come up. Like if we do another thing for advocacy, that'll be a hot topic. And then every other week, starting November, we'll be doing every other week. But October, because I want to make sure we finish out strong with DV Awareness Month, I want to make sure we get all those days in. So that's what's happening at this moment. Thank you for supporting us. Please share our social media so we can, get we need to get and be bigger and better. I know there has been a lot of changes in this podcast, like scheduling in the past year, but we're trying to get it together. My team is tiny, it's not big. So if you're a person who wants to be a part of podcast, we would love to have you on. If you want to share your story, if you have resources, because especially in New York City, we have so much resources. People just don't know where to go. So we're making
Hmm.
sure to get it out there so you know what's happening. And yes, and share it to your friends. Just maybe you think somebody's in a DV and like they want to hear what's going on, maybe just like listen to this message and kind of sneak
Uh-huh.
here. That's the way of getting them to understand, oh, this might be me also. So yes, please share, please follow us on social media and anything events you want us to come to, we can. We give out resources, we do a little raffle sometimes, a little money don't help, that don't hurt nobody. I'm just saying, and come and check me out and follow me also on my social media. I love to hear from you soon. Bye.